Hello and good evening to another Saturday night of Shadow Whispers in the Night. Tonight we have the most fabulous co-host with me, Robin Ramsey. Thank you and welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited for tonight. Super
Me
excited and
too.
really happy to be back with you.
Oh, I'm delighted. I love doing shows with you. We have a fantastic show tonight. We have a little bit of a surprise as well. We have a bloody awesome show tonight. We have Russell Edwards with us tonight. He is the author of Naming Jack the Ripper. I'll give you a little bit here now. The book, Naming Jack the Ripper, is the most important ever written on Jack the Ripper mystery with the help of scientific analysis, DNA, and other modern forensic techniques. Russell has made groundbreaking discoveries which will impact hugely on any future investigations into the Whitechapel murders. They provide conclusive answers to many of the most challenging mysteries surrounding the case. Now, I've always been interested in Jack the Ripper and who is he?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are interested. They know the general things. They know, that someone that allegedly not identified. For the most part, people don't know. I think that at least Mr. Edwards, or well, I call him Russell, has come to identify who one of the suspects as Jack the Ripper himself. And so I can't wait to get into talking to him about how he came to that conclusion and how he feels that he can prove that. And I'm sure it doesn't make people happy because there's people out there that I consider what is it? What did I call it? I can't see because I don't have my glasses on, but speculation addiction, so to say that he knows who it is, it blows their mind because they have no idea how he came to that conclusion. So I want to clear that up.
Absolutely. Anyone who's watching, like it, share it, comment. If you have any questions, comment, and hopefully we'll get through all the questions. But we're not going to talk anymore. We're going to bring our fantastic guest on, Russell Edwards, and he's going to let you know what he's doing and where he is. Good evening. Can you hear us? Your voice is...
You're muted.
You're muted?
Oh, he can't hear us either.
You can't hear us?
Oh, we were just talking. That's too bad. Well, while you're figuring it out.
Can you hear us?
It's probably maybe a button that he has pushed.
Yeah, I can lip read. Can you hear us? Okay, no. Can you hear us, Russell? No. Hello. I always do.
Wait, I hear something.
What's wrong? That's my dog. Can you hear us, Russell? Okay. Do you want to come out and come back in?
Yeah, I would just do it.
Okay, I'm going to send you a message. Let me see. Okay, hold on. And come back in. Okay, Russell, I sent you a message. Okay.
Yeah, we were just speaking with him and everything was fine. And it's funny, we go on the air and he can't hear, he can't talk. So it's just probably just a click of a button or something.
No, so anyway. As you can see, Russell is not in at home. But where is he tonight?
No, he's not.
No,
unless he lives in his car. I don't think so.
A little bit of a preview. The link that we have up here at the side, that's the link to his book, Naming Jack the Ripper. I have bought it today, so I'm looking forward to reading that on the train and people seeing what book I'm reading. Eric, hello, how are you doing? Anthony, how are you doing? Hope all is well.
Kimmy, great name, Kimmy Corpse. What a wonderful name.
Kimmy, hey y'all. You can say that better than me, Robin. What is wrong?
Hi y'all.
Tonight.
That's okay. I called you Jennifer and you just call me Robbie. It's okay. Like we're excited. That's why, because Russell Edwards
Hi, Louise.
has made a life's work. He spent, a couple of decades.
There you are.
There he is.
We're good. Oh, so it's live.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Russell Edwards.
So welcome, Russell. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your time. We know you're busy.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Would you like to tell everyone where you are tonight?
So I thought this is the very first time I've ever done this as an interview, as I'm actually live at one of the real murder scenes. As you well know, there's so many people around the world that hear the story but don't know the truth. And what I did was to make sure that I went and found the truth. And sort of venture for 20 years. Very happy to be in the situation I am now. But I'm going to turn the camera around because I'm actually standing at where the photograph was taken, which is the only historic photograph of the third murder scene of Jack the Ripper and that of Elizabeth Stride.
I'll bring this up. That's just crazy. I'm trying to bring that up bigger so people can see that one better.
Sure.
Let me
The
see
gateway over there is where the gateway where the murder happened.
Oh, here we are.
And again, it's a school now, a schoolyard.
I'm trying to bring this up a little bit better that we can see. I can see that picture better.
Yeah.
Why is it not letting me bring it up? Everything's happening tonight. What's happening? But we can see it's still fine here. I'm still trying to work on that. But
well, I can go through it with people. Could definitely. But this is always the case. Trust me, there's been loads of glitches over the years with this story. But it's interesting because this place I've been on 2 separate occasions. Once with an exceptionally talented paranormal team, and they had a portal, and we heard a voice saying, "I'm from Sweden, and I'm going to be standing there shortly." They took some photographs, and lo and behold, in the photographs, they saw images of people hiding behind the gate, and the actual, like the silhouette, not the silhouette, where the body lay.
Really?
Yeah, and then I brought a friend of mine just to do a brief talk on the murder scene. And if you look at it, you'll see a black, like a black shadow going to the wall behind me. So on all the other, but it does here. So if anything really is to happen at all in any other guys ever come here, this is where it will be.
Wow, I'm just trying to get that up a little bit bigger.
I'm really excited the fact that you did use a team to go in and try to find some other alternative evidence. I didn't know that you were into that at all, and that's kind of exciting to us because I know Jenny's show for the most part does paranormal topics, and so I'm really glad that there's a little bit of crossover in that. And what did you have any feelings? Like, did you did it hit you in a certain way?
No. Not at all. I've never ever felt anything whatsoever personally. Lots of people have come with me. Lots of psychic ladies smell taste the metallic, the metal taste of blood. I've had people stand here and they saw what happened. A lovely lady called Liz. She actually lived at that moment, and she went white as a sheet, and her lips went blue. And she said he's sick. And she revealed something. I don't know if it's good for your listeners or not, but it was very intense what she told me. In fact, where I'm standing right now is, I mean, we get into the story, but I'm standing where the eyewitness Israel Schwartz stood, watching Aaron Kuzmin attacking Elizabeth Stride literally at this. This is how far away he stood. And the Ripper, was attacking Elizabeth Stride just there.
My God.
The gateway where he cut her throat.
Oh my God.
But you can see how close it is.
Yeah.
So he gave a perfect description.
Is that the picture that I had from earlier? That's not the one. That's not the corner one yet. No.
No. I'm actually at the scene now.
It's not just.
So literally there.
That's where we saw that earlier on, where there's a what's a pothole up there. There's a
drain. Yeah.
Great. That's where, just between that wall and the fencing on the right hand side.
That's exactly right.
That's where she was murdered.
Yeah.
And now that drain, that grate, that was it there during when that happened, or is it a newer?
Not that particular drain, but there was. There was like a drain pipe at the side, so it would have gone into some sewerage there.
So there was some sort of that
it's there. And there was this where there's just fencing and all these new tower blocks going up. There was a wall, and that was the side wall of the Jewish Men's Working Club, which is where Israel Schwartz went to get his wife and some people to help him because he realised he'd found a murdered woman right there.
That's just. It's what date was that? Was that the?
Okay, so that was the night of the 29th of September, 1888, going into the hour of the 30th.
Going into the 30th.
Yeah. So there's this misconception of dates. So consider, so you're going out to murder on the 29th of September, but you're actually in the middle of the night. So, for him, the significance of the date was the 29th, but it was like in the first hour. So this counted as the 30th. And in the archives, when I did the research many years ago, it's actually documented as the 29th of September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's just, it's crazy that you're standing in the spot of where it happened and you're in the same location.
We're standing right in the spot where the attack took place. This is where I am.
Wow, that's just
Jesus. But if you like, I can give you this massive revelation of because I obviously knew where he lived at the time of the murders. I'm very happy to take you there. It's only a minute here.
Could you do that?
And as I do it, I'll tell you the story.
Yep.
So are we going to say his name, the person that you?
Aaron Kosminski.
Okay, Kosminski. Yeah. Do you think that he frequented that Jewish men's club? And are there any records of who the members were or that sort of thing, you think, with that club?
Well, that's very interesting because he definitely knew about the club because his brother Wolf at one point lived 2 doors down.
Mm-hmm.
And his brother Wolf used to care for him. So his brother used to look after him.
I'm wondering if those records could be researched. That's really what I'm when you said that it was right outside, that just made me think, are there records? Did they keep a log of who was a member?
Well, that's interesting, But, again, even if he was, that's circumstantial evidence.
It is.
But it'd be
put it together with everything else. It would just be a nice tidbit, another icing on the cake. Mm-hmm.
They did say that the suspects would have been, several people obviously have been suggested as possible suspects over the years, including a royal family member or a Polish immigrant.
Well, the Polish immigrant is Aaron Kosminski.
That's
the member of the royal family was Prince Albert Victor. Now, Prince Albert Victor wasn't even in Whitechapel at the time of the murders. He was with Queen Victoria in Balmoral. So you've got the Queen as your alibi, and Prince Albert Victor was never, ever Jack the Ripper. But it's a fantastic romance of this story. Think, it was the prince and it's a big cover-up.
Right.
Well, it's a lot more simpler story. But the people want this. They want this dream of this story. I'm going to cross. And believe
be careful.
Not that. It's just not that big.
Yeah, people love sensationalism. That's for sure. I know, and for a while, you would hear every now and then that it had to be a doctor in training or someone who was trying to, map the anatomy of the human body. And I thought that is not a doctor in training, because even then, when they would get the corpses or whatever, they would take it to a place where they could actually look and take the body apart. They didn't just murder someone and go, I guess I learned something about medicine today. So I never thought that was plausible at all. Never.
Well, since I brought my book out in 2014, I've done a huge amount more research. And I can tell you at this point, we can categorically state he did have anatomical knowledge.
Right.
That's coming out in the book. But what I do want to show you is if I turn this camera around, you see the white light over there?
Yes.
Can you see the red light?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. That's where Kosminski lived.
Wow.
There. Now, the reason why I'm showing you, because if I turn it round again from there, I'm going to go round to Greenfield Road. And over there is the murder scene at Berners Street.
God, he kept
from his front door.
Kept everything close. I'm right beside him. And I would have read as well that they weren't premeditated. murder. They were
Yes,
spur of the moment.
it was definitely premeditated.
Was.
And the reason for that was the murder dates, which was the significance of the pattern on the shawl, which was Michaelmas daisies. And that's really what got me into this story, because I literally didn't. I've been in here since 1989, and for 11 years I didn't know the significance of Whitechapel. You know, it didn't cross my mind. And then I saw a film called From Hell,
Aye.
and in that I did a Ripper tour, and lo and behold, it's where I've been, in this very dark. I don't know why I like dark, gloomy places, but
We all do.
Yeah. You're among friends. Yeah.
What's this?
That's called Elizabeth Stride Street here.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
It's like a testimony
amazing.
for those that care.
Yeah.
She's still remembered, because you
Yeah.
got to remember the residents of today. Like, you know, as I say, 11 years, I didn't know. These people here living on this street, I bet you half of them don't know at all. So it's
Yeah.
good that she's remembered in some little way,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
you know. But literally,
Did-
I'm walking in the footsteps
Oh gosh.
of the murderer going to commit a murder. These are the original cobbles.
Oh gosh, really? It's not just mind blowing.
Yeah, they're the original
It
cobbles.
It's not just mind blowing.
It is. I would be
All
on
of
my
this
hands
road,
and knees
all of
touching the
London,
street. Yeah.
all of the UK, they've just tarmacked
Yeah.
over the cobbles. They're still underneath.
Wow.
So I'm now going to show you just. We stood there only, a minute ago, 2 minutes ago,
Yeah.
and I'll show you just how close the murder scene actually was. Now, we did this for a specific reason, because this is on the outskirts of Whitechapel. Well, I say outskirts of Whitechapel. This is called Mile End Old Town. So it's a little region a little bit away. So all the murders happened over, I would say, 10 minutes west of here. And there we are.
10 minutes walking 10 minutes.
You can see how quick it is from door to door.
Mm-hmm.
That's just madness. Is that the gates we looked at? No, that's not the gates we looked at.
That's the gates. There we are.
That's the gates. Is that the one That's the one I have the picture of, is it?
Yep.
Okay, let me put the picture up. This is what it used to look like. This is at the corner, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to go there to give you the comparison.
Oh, right. So, right.
Yeah, you're right. That picture, that's it. So do you see the big house?
Yeah.
With the cartwheel on the wall?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That wall was where I'm pointing the camera to now. If the wall was there, the cartwheel was there. So
oh my gosh.
That's the gateway here.
Okay. And that's the location of the drain and the torso?
Yeah, the body, yeah.
Okay.
That I was thinking as well, because he had taken body parts such as the organs. He took the organs, several organs from. Go ahead.
He did. He took body parts from the victims.
Would they be for trophies? If I can say the word trophies.
Yes. Again, at this point, there's stuff I can reveal and stuff I can't.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah.
But for now, I would say yes for trophies, because it's what a mystery. Why take the body parts? But we know serial killers do keep trophies of the victims, albeit they're normally like a ring or a shoe or clothing. This is body parts for him.
Were the parts consistent? Were they the same parts over and over?
Well, on the first victim, Polly Nichols. So we murdered Polly Nichols on the 31st of August, 1888. And her bowels were protruding, but he didn't take any of her body parts. Okay. But as you know, serial killers, they escalate in the violence. By 1 week later, on the 8th of September, 1888, where he murdered Annie Chapman in the backyard of 29 Hanbury Street, he disemboweled. He took a whole front flap of skin from just the bottom of her rib cage right down to her private parts, put the skin to one side, took her intestines, threw it over her right shoulder, and he took her uterus with him. The third one where we are now, he was interrupted by a guy called Louis Dean Schutz. So he cut her throat and didn't have a chance to take any body parts or perform his ritualistic murder. Within 45 minutes of us standing here, he murdered Catherine Eddowes.
Yeah.
not only did he butcher her, but he took her kidney and her uterus. And by the time he got to Mary Kelly, he destroyed her completely. And we know that her heart wasn't found.
Was never.
So we think took her heart.
And when I was reading through them, he's cut every one of their necks. That's how he started. He just instead of suffocation or strangulation or anything like that, he cut their necks. Oh.
Well, yes and no. He did strangle them, which is why there wasn't arterial blood spatter. So all of the atrocities he committed was post-mortem, so it was after they were dead. So that's
my gosh.
Rule of thumb. So what I'm going to do, because it's absolutely freezing, believe it or not, even in the summer.
Get in that car. I know. So like I said earlier on, he's a bit of a clever man that he didn't cut their throats when they were alive because of blood splatter. He strangled them first and then cut their throat after they had passed away.
Yes. Yes, I'm with.
I don't mean in a good way, you know.
Yeah. Again, when
your voice is going again.
Step what he did.
Oh, you're back.
I'm here. Are you on
the car?
Bluetooth. Yeah. So you can't sidestep what he did. Now, this mystery of Jack the Ripper that's been eternal since 1888. We did solve it in 2014, but the people just don't want to believe he's been found. You know, it's just this our biggest whodunit in the UK, and people just can't accept that he's been found. But it's been perpetuated and it's been sensationalized since the murders happened. And really, again, for me, was justice for the families. Like I was with, she's a very, very dear friend of mine now. She's the great granddaughter of Catherine Eddowes, the fourth murder victim. And I was with her last week, and I said, look, you mean so much to me for what she did, because she gave me a DNA, because she's down the maternal line, which is the only way we could get the right DNA. What's really not really still, even today, it's still Jack the Ripper, but actually it's not. It's Polly Nichols, it's Annie Chapman, it's Elizabeth Stride, it's Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. These are 5 women that fell on hard times, that were butchered by a maniac. And the name Jack the Ripper did not link. He had no control over that name. That was just given by a letter from the Dear Boss letter that was written by a journalist, and that's been attached. So it's the name that's been attached. And with that, Jack the Ripper is a bit like the Top Hat and Tails with the Gladstone bag. So he falls into that era of Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, and the werewolf, or Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which is really significant in this story, believe it or not. But that's who he really. People think that he's like this fantasy figure, but he's not. They are fantasy figures, obviously based on characters before they were created. But Jack the Ripper was actually given to a name of a man that literally brutalized women in a most severe way.
Right. And where did the name Jack? Probably a silly question. Where did the name Jack come from? Jack the Ripper?
Well, it was like this There was this. In the early 19th century, there was this murderer called, he escaped, and he said, how could you do this? Because it was like a high walls, and they called him Spring Heel Jack. And then there was a Jolly Jack Tar, so it was this Jack name that has been there through the 19th century. And to be honest, to create such a sensational name, Jack the Ripper. Imagine being the guy, the reporter that made that created that, and not getting any recognition for it.
Yeah, seriously, it's just, and even when I was going through letters tonight, and I know we were talking about it beforehand, and we're going through the letters, and I had some here to put up. But I kind of had to stop for a second after I read some of them, like literally warped minded. Yeah. But were they him?
No, no letters were written by the murderer himself. The only one that I think that they could have been written by him, but I don't know how we could prove it, was the From Hell letter that was sent to George Lusk, head of the Vigilance Committee, on the 16th of October 1888, and that had half a kidney with it.
Oh,
And
the
because
Lord.
and that was like 2.5 weeks after the murder of Catherine Eddowes, and we know that he took Catherine Eddowes' kidney with him.
Okay, so he saved half of it as a trophy. He turned the other half over so he could get some sort of recognition, and the other letters were written by news people trying to sell papers, more than likely, right?
Yeah, and just miscellaneous miscreants is the best way to put it.
Okay.
When we look at the Yorkshire, so in the UK in the 70s, there was another murder called the Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe, and there was a man that wrote 3 Ripper letters, and he was signed Jack the Ripper. It turned out they weren't written by Sir Peter Sutcliffe, and eventually they caught that man, and it did a voice recording that set the police off on a different trail, and it was called Wearside Jack, and again Jack straight away, and he caused 3 or 4 more murders because he went to prison for that. So if these people were sending these random letters back then and they were caught, obviously it could never be caught. They would be prosecuted for that.
Oh, sorry, I'm me talking the microphone off. I have what I think is the hell letter. I'm going to bring it up to see if it's the right one.
That's it. That's the one. That's the only one not signed Jack the Ripper.
I'm trying to read it.
Yes.
I send you half the kidney I took from one woman.
Yep.
I took from preserved it.
Or preserved it and then ate it.
And I took a piece and ate it. It was very nice. I can't really. Do you see the way the writing stuff?
By me and something.
The jaw.
Show the bloody life that took it. If only you would wait a little longer.
Signed.
Catch me if you can, Mr. Lusk.
Oh.
You see, that is. Oh, the Lord. that is.
So he was taunting. So that's a classic serial killer move too. When they're not getting the excitement from the chase or being chased that they really want. So that's definitely a huge taunt.
It's tantalizing.
To catch me if you can.
Yeah.
I completely agree. In fact, if you look at BTK, Dennis Rader, he did the same thing years after, and that's how he got caught.
Yes. Because part of them, and people speculate on this, of course, part of them wants to be caught, they want to be stopped, but because they're caught up in the cycle, like you're saying, the serial killer cycle, where they escalate and escalate. And so I'm wondering if you had, once again, with the research aspect, if you had any access, I know it'd be almost impossible to do, to go back and find any police records of just attacks or brutality towards the prostitutes that kind of led him up, because he didn't just walk out one day and say, I'm going to strangle someone, cut their throat, and take their organs. Probably there was some precursors to that before it happened, and because they were women or prostitutes, or both, that they most likely weren't even reported, right? Those precursors probably weren't even reported.
But
that's a very interesting point. What I would like to say here was there was a murder 3 weeks before the first acknowledged Ripper murder, and that was of Martha Tabram, and that was a completely different MO. In fact, she was stabbed 39 times. I strongly believe she was his first attempt at a murder. There was another one. There was 11 Whitechapel murders, 5 attributed to him, but really we think Martha was his victim. There was another one at the 3rd of April, Emma Smith, but that was an attack, and it was sort of there was these high-risk guys sort of trying to get any money off the prostitutes, and I think that was Emma Smith was a victim of that. There was one before that called Fairy Faye, but to be honest, you're absolutely right. Because Whitechapel, you've got to remember this was a very violent, impoverished area.
Mm-hmm.
The attacks on women were commonplace, and a lot not reported because they wouldn't do anything about it anyway.
Does anybody know where he's buried?
Of course.
Where is he
I know
buried?
exactly where he's buried.
Do you?
So much so, a few years ago, when my children were little, I took them to the cemetery and said, "Do you want to go and see the grave of Jack the Ripper?" And the pair of them run. And I said, I told them exactly where he was. And they stood there. And they said, "Yeah, where's Jack the Ripper?" And then when he stood there, they realised the sort of the weight of standing at this man's grave.
My gosh. I'm going over. Robin, you need to get a plane ticket over.
Oh.
We have to go
Okay.
over. And Lou and Niall have to come over with me as well. And anybody else wants to go for a weekend trip. I know I'm not saying weekend trip is a good trip, but something that we're interested in, and it's real history.
It is.
Yeah.
It's real history. And there's other women as well. Sorry, there's other women. There's Mary Ann Nichols.
Polly. Her nickname was Polly.
Her nickname was Polly.
Yeah, Polly Nichols, yeah.
We have Anne Chapman, we have Catherine Stride, Elizabeth Stride, sorry, excuse me.
Yeah.
Catherine Eddowes and Mary Jane Kelly.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. All within a 10-week period.
How did he? I mean, we know back in the day as forensic scientists as we know now, which is why he has been discovered. You just looking for a needle in a haystack.
Right.
You know, you wouldn't have then what we have now.
Right. I would attribute, maybe one extra murder was coincidence, but in a 10-week period, that pattern, he was practicing, he was getting up his nerve, he was running that cycle, and he was calming down enough to be able to start taking organs and that sort of thing, probably. And how do we know that he had schizophrenia?
That was documented.
Documented? Well, he was in an asylum?
He was put in Coney Hatch Asylum. Yeah, in fact, I drove past it today. There's no part of my life that's not linked to this story. I can tell you that. So if we just go back to the 5 murders, the MO was the same. The way he laid them out in a specific manner. You know, cutting the throats, intestines over the shoulder, body parts taken. So we know he did those 5.
Yeah.
But again, the big question. A trademark, yeah. The big question is, what happened to him? You know, so many people go, well, what did happen to him? Well, I know, and the thing is, so did the police at the time. So shortly after the murder of Mary Jane Kelly, because Kosminski was looked after by his older brother Wolf. Now, Wolf was 5 years older, and his brother Isaac was nearly 15 years older. So Isaac Kosminski didn't really live anyway. He was under the care of his brother Wolf. And Wolf's wife was Betsy, and he attacked Betsy with a knife. So then they'd had enough, because they knew it was him. There's an interesting point to this. So where I'm standing right now, and it's quite spooky as I do this, but if I turn around now where that woman is.
No, okay.
What I'm going to tell you is this. As Israel Schwartz was watching Kosminski attacking Elizabeth Stride, there was a man standing where I've just shown you, smoking a pipe, watching. The mystery to me was that his brother. It's one of these things we'll never know. We'll never know. But it's sort of like a caged animal let loose, come back in. But really, he was looked after, and he was prone to solitary vices, which back then meant masturbation. Now, I don't know if you know, but I'm a therapist. When somebody openly masturbates, that's a term for schizophrenia. And back then, when he was admitted to the asylum, it said he had mania. But he had, and the other thing is auditory hallucinations. So the word that somebody's telling you to do this thing, which is what the Yorkshire Ripper tried to do. But because you can hear voices, that's another telltale sign of schizophrenia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So basically, he was being told to do this.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. We just know. All we know is he had auditory hallucinations.
You would wonder why he stopped at 5.
Well, I've just told you, because what happened was he got arrested. So the brothers gave him up to the police, and then he was taken down to a seaside home in Brighton, near Brighton, called Hove. And he was identified with an unhesitating ID by none other, by Israel Schwartz, which is why I brought you here. So I've stood where Israel Schwartz stood on that night. He's had a very good look at him, and he identified him. The only problem was Israel Schwartz and Ara Kuzminski are Jewish, and Israel Schwartz wouldn't testify. And because the identification wasn't a formal identification, it was what's called a confrontation. So they just took into the room, shown him, and taken out again. That was not strong enough. It's considered a weak ID, so they couldn't prosecute him. So they had the man, he knew he was caught, but they couldn't prosecute him. So they sent him home with his brother Wolf. It says in what's called the Swanson marginalia that gives the name Kuzminski as the murderer. It says he was sent home to Whitechapel with his brother. Now we know that that's the brother. I'm sort of telling tales out of school because that's for my next book for next year. But he sent home with his brother, and he was watched day and night, and then he was put in a workhouse, and then eventually sent to Colney Hatch. Now it's interesting because he was allowed to walk on the streets, and the second he was walked on the streets, he was arrested, and he was taken to court. Yeah.
Okay.
And then moving from a workhouse to an asylum, there had to be incidents. That just doesn't happen. Like, oh, you're going to work every day and everything's going fine. Let's take you to an asylum.
Workhouses weren't like that. The workhouses were like that. Basically, they were waiting for the furore of the Ripper story to die down, to calm down, and then they put him away.
Okay. So Pietro asks, is it possible that Jack the Ripper did not act alone but acted with a doctor?
He didn't act with a doctor. Ara Kuzminski trained as a hairdresser or barber surgeon. And believe it or not, that back then, barbers, quite a bizarre thing, but surgeons and barbers used to train. The initial training was the same of the both of them. Some went to be barbers, some went to be the clever ones were surgeons. The others, not so bright, went to be barbers. So he had anatomical knowledge.
Right. Because barbers completed a lot of more of the minor medical things that you had to do anyway, all the way to pulling your teeth and that stuff.
Yeah, just 1 second, ladies.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Well, it's really highly interesting in that whole description of the cycle, the cycle of a serial killer. Makes me, one thing that really is interesting to me is the fact that his brothers took care of him, that his brothers were so much older. They probably watched what they would consider strange behavior from the time he was little. And back then you didn't say, oh, I need help for my little brother. You hid it, you covered it up. You didn't want to be embarrassed. You didn't want the neighbors to know. You didn't want to become ostracized, right? Because of your strange family member. So they might have seen a lot more than we will ever know. That would be an interesting fiction to write on the side. But that's I wonder about that.
What motivated you to write a book about Jack the Ripper?
Because I wanted to get the truth finally told.
Yeah.
I started. So when I'd been here for 11 years, because I have been here from 89 to today, and in the 90s, I used to bring all my corporate clients to take for a curry in Brick Lane, which is just here, literally 2 minutes down the road. And then when I saw the film From Hell, the Johnny Depp film, that's what made me think, oh, bloody hell, Jack the Ripper, the East End. I wonder where that was. And when I went on that very first Ripper tour, I'd use the words bugger me, which we say in England, but what I would say was, lo and behold, all these places, the 10 Bells Pub, Fournier Street, Brick Lane, all of these places were all linked to this story. I think, oh my God. And because I do have a unique way of thinking, because I've always worked for myself, I've never really been employed by anybody, and I don't believe in just picking up a book and reading somebody's second-hand story. Because it's their interpretation of the truth, not the truth.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what? I watched the film From Hell on a Friday. I went on a Ripper tour on the Saturday, and on Monday I called Scotland Yard, and on the Tuesday I was at the Metropolitan Archives actually looking at the case.
God.
So I realised, I am very highly motivated. Yeah. Back then, what I did was I realised, and I was grown up and adult enough to know that everybody's poured over this story and this research, and there's nothing new I was going to find. Yeah. So I left it there, and I used to come down on the murder dates, bring friends, we'd have a curry, and then in 2007 in the March, my mum called me, said, Russ, there's a shawl that was taken from the fourth murder scene up for sale at an auction.
Yeah.
And that's in Bury St Edmunds, and I lived in Newmarket, and that's about half an hour away. So my wife, we're well divorced now, been divorced just after this story, believe it or not. She said, "You're not having that." So it was a challenge. So I had to find a reason to buy that shawl or to show any interest. And I found it. And the link of the shawl and the murders was the pattern of Michaelmas daisies. And Michaelmas is celebrated on the 29th of September and the 8th of November. And guess what? Jack the Ripper went out and he murdered 2 women on the night of the 29th of September. And he murdered Mary J. Kelly on the night of the 8th of November. And immediately, that's the reason. So what I did was I realised the shawl, and I bought it. And I realised the shawl had been in Scotland Yard through the 90s. And they didn't believe it, so they gave it back to the original owner, who I bought it from.
Yeah.
And the owner is not just some random person. He's the great-great-grandnephew of an acting sergeant that was on undercover duties in Mitre Square on the night.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, that really got me. That shawl got me hooked, and the fact of it's got blood on it, and it's got what I thought was bleach, but it's actually turned out to be semen. So it's got body tissue on there. So I was busy being a dad. I had very big companies at the time. So I put it off to when I sold all my companies in 2008. And I started in earnest to see if, because I've got anything that could be tangible or linked to the story, I'll go for it. And that's where, 3 years later, that's where I meet my very dear friend. He's more like my older brother. I say older, if he's listening, younger brother. I was out having dinner with him the other day, and he's a genius. And I did have two sets of scientists getting involved, and they certainly aren't as switched on as him by a country mile, as we say in the UK. He managed to extract that. He said to me, the blood spatter is arterial blood spatter. There's only 3 types: bludgeon, gunshot, and arterial. So someone's had the throat cut, and it's all over the shawl as a pattern. He said there's body parts been taken off and put on that shawl, and he said they can't be forged, and there's semen on it, is what he told me. And that's the exact MO. That's exactly what happened to Elizabeth Stride. And in the research, we did find a kidney cell, and Yari did find it. Dr. Yari O'Flynn had found a kidney cell in that where the body part had been placed. So what he said to me,
I seen the show. I remember you on a show with friends. I seen the show. You were on a show one night, about 2 years ago, with Jeremy York, and you had the shawl there, and I seen it, and I seen the stains on it. Yeah. Really,
so it's like, I did that because people don't believe me, you see. So I thought, well, look, there it is, it's right in front of your face. Make up all the stories that you do about me, which they do, even on Wikipedia. Make up all these nonsense stories, because I don't care. We've got the story, we've got it banked right. So the other thing, which is a big thing from another ridiculous scientist, said about contamination. Well, Yari managed to extract the samples he used embedded in the weave between the top and bottom. Yeah. So he didn't just take it from the top; he got it embedded in the weave, which eliminated all the contamination. So then, when he got DNA from the blood spatter from that shawl, he asked me to go and trace a direct female living descendant. I'll ask her for a sample and see if we can match it, which it took me a while, and I did. And she was the lady I was with last week, who again, when we solved this properly, I didn't just go to the press and say this. We waited for 6 months before we did anything. What I did was I got in my car and I drove down to her house. We met in a pub, and she was the first person I told, because it was her,
How did she feel when you told her? How did she feel? Like, I mean, I know obviously devastated, but like, what happened?
The one thing, okay, we have these moments. So I believe there's only certain heaven moments in our lives. This is one of them. Being a father, watching your baby be born, for example. What Karen did, she held me, she hugged me really tight, and she just looked at me. She went, "Thank you."
That's just.
And that was worth the journey in itself.
Absolutely, work hard.
I've been lucky, because the people in my life through this story all stayed with me, and they're genuinely lovely people. And Karen's right at the top. She's lovely.
That's
So
amazing.
we got the match, but then we thought, well, okay, we've got a match, but that's just, it was always called the Edo Shaw. So I said, well, what can we do with that? Anyway, my agent said to me, well, that's not good. That's not enough. You need to go further. So he said, can you date the shawl? Because someone will say it's a fake. And we dated the shawl, and we did what's called mass spectrometry. It's this scientific technique that breaks all the elements, and we could find out exactly where and when it was made. So number one, the shawl was made in Eastern Europe and not in Whitechapel, because the Spitalfield silk wasn't made here. And the other thing was the dye on the shawl came from St. Petersburg in northern Russia. Now we know that Poland and Prussia are all very, very linked. And we knew that the whole family of Kosminskis, except for him and a few others, were master tailors. So you're like, well, there you go, there's the link. So all of a sudden, what we've discovered was the silk was very expensive. Now, the fourth Ripper victim at the fourth murder scene where the shawl was, Catherine Eddowes had to pawn her own shoes the day before for her and her partner to get on a night's DOS. So she was, sorry to say this, but piss poor. As we say, I mean, very poor. Yeah. And that means destitute poor, by the way. Yeah. And so we knew if she had a piece of silk like that, she would have sold it. But the thing is, if she'd robbed it, she would have been arrested for it. And she certainly wouldn't have been walking around the streets in it, because it turned out that the dye on the shawl is water soluble. So it's pre-1854, before textiles, before synthetic dye was created. So we're lucky that we've got the shawl from about 1835. There was a rudimentary plant dye. So the samples of the blood and the semen sort of absorbed into the material. So luck was very much on my side. Yeah. And then we worked. And my revelation on that day was, not only did I put the murder dates, why he murdered them on those days, but it turned out the shawl wasn't the victim's shawl. It was the murderer's shawl. He took it there so he could take the kidney away with him. And of course, there's not much blood spatter on any of the murder scenes. And I know he strangled them, but he didn't have much time with Catherine Eddowes, because he literally, with the short, by the way, it's not small. It's 9 foot by 2.5 foot, so it's huge. Wow. But you can crumple it. You can crumple it and put it in your pockets. Yeah. So that revelation that it was he took it to the murder scene with him made me focus on the semen on the shawl, because there's no other person that could have deposited. Sorry, talking about this on a Saturday night.
No. Be real.
Deposited that semen on all the time. He has to come across this hurdle. The only man that could have done that was the murderer. So we focused on the DNA. Now, the difference is we can never get RNA, because that deteriorates very quickly. And it's not made. So we were really, Yari was extremely focused on making sure he didn't mess us up. Yari is exceptionally professional and exceptionally fastidious. And I really resent anybody questioning that man's ability to commit scientist. He's a revolutionary scientist. I'll just give you a couple of instances. Swedish police force adopted his techniques of scientific analysis. He's changed the law in Poland. He's solved an unsolved murder case from the 60s that's been a big one in Poland. So he's not just this random scientist. He's a really, really force to be reckoned with. Anyway, so he managed to get the DNA. We got the samples, and we got DNA through sperm head analysis. And lo and behold, we couldn't. We tried to dig Aaron Kosminski up in the Jewish community, and definitely not having that. And anyway, he managed to get it through his sister Matilda, through the maternal line. That's what he did. And everybody's asked me these millions of questions. Believe it or not, we could get you through your sixth cousin nowadays. So it's all irrelevant, this nonsense that people throw at me. And we got 100% match. And on that, it was in the middle of February on a Friday night at 8:30 when we found out. And at that point, when he said, go and check your inbox, we knew we were close. So it was either going to be yes or no. Yeah. And when I checked my inbox, there was literally, I saw the DNA profile matching. And I tell you what, that revelation of I've proven who Jack the Ripper was. And as I told you, I told Karen, and we kept quiet for 6 months. And my agent told me at the very beginning of the story, everything you do, write 1,000 words on a page and send it to me. So that was like nearly 2011, 3.5 years. So I'd amassed enough to make a book. And I thought this story needs to be told. So that's why a long answer to why I wrote the book.
I will have your book delivered to me tomorrow.
And which is called Naming Jack the Ripper, and you can find it. Where can you find this book?
Amazon, eBay.
eBay. Have the link at the very top. If you all scroll up to the top, I have the link there. Actually, I'll put it up here now. There, so it is on. It's on Amazon and eBay.
Yeah.
I shall have mine tomorrow. And people go to bed reading novels, and I go to bed reading Naming Jack the Ripper.
Right, Naming Jack the Ripper. Well, it had me really. I learned more about mitochondrial DNA than just for speaking to you. Then I never thought I would really need it, but now I understand how significant it is, how accurate it can be. And so I was reading that the oldest mitochondrial DNA that they've successfully used and proven identity is 64,000 years old. So if someone doubts that this is possible, it is absolutely possible, and it's done more frequently than you think. So stop doubting and just believe it, because it's science. It's science. Absolutely. It doesn't care about your opinions. It's science.
Absolutely. Look at you. You got his name.
Yeah. When I discovered the murder dates and I knew the Shawl had been in Scotland Yard for 10 years, I called Scotland Yard to say what I just told you. I've linked the murder dates. And a guy was called Alan McCormack that was running the place. And he said to me, you know what, Russ? You've come up with the first bit of new evidence in decades. He says, I don't know why they do these tours. I don't know why they write these books. I don't know why they make these films or these documentaries. We've always known who Jack the Ripper was. And he just says it was Aaron Kosminski. So the reason why I followed the pathway of Aaron Kosminski is because Scotland Yard told me.
There you go. So doubt. I don't. Yeah. Anybody who's still doubting after that is just someone who's just going to doubt, anything. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just that person that's never going to give up. Just addicted.
I have another time a day for them.
Speculate.
So just so you know, that the science that Yari did was published in the French Journal of Forensic Science, and it was peer reviewed by separate scientists, and they validated all his work.
Excellent.
That's amazing.
Golden standard peer review.
Thank you. That's exactly it.
That's it. I'm looking forward to the new book as well. I'll have the first one read within a week.
Yes.
When I sit on my computer doing audio work and all that stuff.
I've just before this, I met up with the lady that used to do the tours for me, and I just told her what's in the new book, and she knows this story as well, as well as me. She used to do my tours for me, and she sat there with a jaw that hit the floor. So I'm not allowed to tell you any stuff, but the stuff that is going to come out and what will be revealed, I can't say anything, but it's worth the wait.
When did you say it's coming out?
March 2024.
Awesome.
Oh, Lordy.
Yeah. I can't even imagine what it could be. I'm so excited.
I want to bring it out. I want to bring it out today. It's not me that's setting the date. It's the publisher,
Oh, I want to see it. There's a question here from Nicole Ray. Were there copycat killers similar to Jack the Ripper?
Yes, there were. Just after the Ripper murders, Francis Coles? There was a few, but they knew Clay Pipe Palace was, I think, another one. I think I've not really focused on them because there's always been on the story. But yes, there were. But the police knew they already had him. But the wounds inflicted weren't as severe.
Oh my gosh.
Different pattern, similar but just different enough so you know that it's
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's just crazy. And Annie, how do the family of the victims, they know the work that you're doing? Have any of them worked with you?
Yeah, I'm good friends with lots of. I would just say not just that. I'm friends with descendants of witnesses, and I'm a good friend of mine as one of his descendants as well.
There was I read up as well there that several. Now this is what I read now. So what you read sometimes is But several of the murder victims were found near the Thames River, which contributed to speculation that the killer was a sailor or a river worker.
Do you know what? That's a very good one. Well, I'm sitting at the third murder scene, and you know what? We're not that near to the river at all. And the answer to that is no, just simple no. But there was a guy. Okay, so there's a guy going around saying that a guy called Carl Feigenbaum, who's a sailor, was Jack the Ripper because when he was insured in Whitechapel, they were the murder dates. Now so there's no stone unturned. So that research is in the Whitechapel Hospital Museum, and I've done that first-hand research. And the guy that actually put that together wrote to the chief of police saying, "I put this together. Jack the Ripper was a sailor. If you don't acknowledge me, I'm going to go to the press." Of which the response letter was, "Thank you for your interest, but no." Basically, they blew him out the water as if to say, "It's not a sailor." So there's the answer.
Yeah, they all wanted to know who he is, and or not. And how old are these? What were the women at the same age range? And I know, well, not no, I'm saying that I know, I'm not. I don't know. I've read as I do that not all of them are prostitutes.
Okay, so that's a very good point. How I'm going to put this is how it really is. Now, there was a documentary with a very rude lady that tried to scupper the shawl. And I thought, well, she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. But they tried to do a documentary saying the victims weren't prostitutes. Now, when we think of prostitutes, we think of women going to sell the body, and that's all they do. This was not the case for our victims. They were called unfortunates for a very clear reason. And that was they would try anything. So Martha Tabram used to sell flowers or matches. So if they couldn't find legal employment in a day, so they lived a day-to-day business, they were forced to sell the body. So there's a difference between forced to sell your body and selling your body. So I would not say that you could not term them as prostitutes, even though Elizabeth Stride was she was acknowledged as a prostitute, even said on her immigration reports, occupation prostitute. She cleaned the doss house she was in. She got some money for that. In fact, the night she was murdered, she cleaned the doss house and got some money about 5:30 on that night. Use the word unfortunate and think of forced to sell your body just to make sure you can get a meager bit of food or a bed for the night.
Yeah,
that's what they did.
Would they have all been around the same age?
Well, the first four were in the mid-40s. The mid-four were in the mid-40s. There's a reason for that, which is in the next book. And the last victim, Mary Jane Kelly, was only 25, and the reason for her was because she had her own room. She didn't live in Doss House, she had her own room, which was in Miller's Court. My
goodness. So from 25 to 40.
Yeah, but that was Mary Jane Kelly was just opportunistic because he wanted to really, and he did. He had a good 2.5 hours to do what he did to Mary. And again, the other thing I'm trying to convey here is I see these victims as human beings. So it's Mary, it's Polly, it's Annie, it's Liz. You know, it's not Jack the Ripper victims.
Yeah.
So you've got to humanise the women, and that's what I've always tried to do: get justice. Number one, justice for the victims. Number two, put this nonsense of Jack the Ripper to bed.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because it hurts the victims' families even probably to this day, the glorification of the killer, and nobody knows the girls' names. They just and they think they're whores. Oh, it's just some whores. They but he was really interesting. You know, that is extremely hurtful.
Yeah.
This is the problem with serial killers, the sensationalized. If I say to you Ted Bundy, I bet you couldn't name a victim. If I say to you John Wayne Gacy, give us a victim, you can't, but you name the glorification of serial killers should not be, Jeffrey Dahmer, that brilliant Netflix thing.
Yeah.
It's about the victims. And the one thing I really want to stress here, when you're a victim of a serial killer, the family, you kill the family as well. They carry this for the rest of their lives.
100%. And even that word victim, and like you said, we focus on the serial killer. more than we do of the women. And I hate the word victims. The women that he had gotten, and his oh my gosh.
Yes, we absolutely love speculation, and you think, oh, those poor people, that's all they're, those poor people are non-people, imaginary people, but then you start wondering, you start digging in, now, why would somebody do, what was he thinking? Why was he doing that? Was he, and so that's why I think we all just want to know why. You just forget to name the victims. So I'm wondering on his premeditation, was it premeditated that he was probably going to kill that night? Did he know who he was going to kill? Or was it?
We know that the murders were premeditated because the Michaelmas daisies, or the date of Michaelmas, gives us the 29th and the 8th. So we know he went out on that day to go and commit a murder. Okay. But whether he knew the victims, because his occupation was hairdresser. Mm-hmm. And when you think of it, did he ever cut the hair? Did they ever know him? We don't know. We just don't know.
Perhaps, it's speculation, obviously, but perhaps he had done something for them and he found them intriguing in that certain way. You did say there was semen on that shawl, so in that certain way. So he may have began to just follow them and see what they were up to. Opportunity. Yeah.
There's another question here from Nicole: whether any male victims or just females?
All female.
All female.
Just remember, when you look at the profile of serial killers, don't forget this has been my career for 30 years. When you look at serial killers, gay or homosexual, so I've got to be very careful with what we say nowadays. But if you're gay, you're going to murder men. And you look at Dahmer, you look at John Wayne Gacy for that evidence. Again, if you look at I forget her name now. She murdered men, a female serial killer.
What's the other lady's name?
Look, there's a fox. There's a fox at the murder scene. Look.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
London foxes they are.
There's another lady's name. Eileen Wuornos.
Eileen Wuornos. She murdered men.
I have to say, murdered men. What is your take in her? My take will probably not be 100%. I was going to say my take would not be favorable because I think they didn't help her. They didn't listen to her. She did what she did was extremely wrong. I'm not agreeing with what she did at all. Yes, monster.
I would honestly say Eileen Wuornos' story is extremely tragic. Very
sad. I cried at the movie and I watch her documentaries, and she'd be the one that I would be very interested in. I've done a lot of.
But she was insane. Remember.
No, she wasn't. She had the most awful.
Towards the end, don't forget she was talking about radio waves that were sent out by the government to actually control your mind.
Yeah.
But if we get back to the sexual orientation of victims, there's your key.
I'm looking at this here now from Nat from Haunted Era. Larry Murphy's cousin David Lawler murdered Marilyn Ryan. Many the B murdered a lot together. Am I saying that right? Possible. Do you know who Larry Murphy is?
No.
I'm probably going to get it wrong, Nat, so you might have to write it down for me. But I do know his name. I do know what he's done. I just can't say it in case I get it wrong. So, but he is one of the most feared men in Ireland. But Nat, do a little bio of him just there now so I can put it up because I forget. I do know who he is. And no, I would not want to. Here we are. They went to school together, and when they got they lived together, but of course it's all hidden, brushed under the carpet.
I don't know.
Interesting words, brushed under the carpet. I can tell you I've solved another major unsolved case, and that's been brushed under the carpet. And again, I can't really say anything about that because I'm still on it. But brushed under the carpet, just like the Ripper case. And you find, when you really look hard enough, these unsolved murders, if you look really hard, you'll find that they've been brushed under the carpet.
Yeah. And there's so many reasons for that. It could be anything from just political families that knew each other, that sort of thing. It's just...
Yeah, I can tell you the next book reveals all of that.
Okay.
I am just,
I can't
listen, I'm getting your book tomorrow. I want everything yesterday.
Yeah,
I can't wait
So do I.
I cannot wait until March 2024. I'll be PMing you saying, Russell, give me a
I promise when that comes out, when that all comes out, I doubt you'll be speechless for most of it.
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Let me just tell you
It's hard to make either one of us speechless. So we're
I
ready.
can tell you this. Aaron Kosminski was definitely Jack the Ripper. That's what I can tell you.
That's amazing.
Okay.
That's
well, if you end up going on a book tour or anything, please let me know. I'll go anywhere in New York or anywhere in the Northeast to come see you.
Well, I'd love to go to New York.
Yes.
Ireland.
Yeah, I have a guest room. Come on up.
Our house
Lovely.
Robin's house is stunning. I haven't been in it, but I have had a tour around it. It is a house that you would want to stay in and leave the light on.
Well, I was sitting here. I'm sitting here in the parlor actually, and it was built in 1880, and I'm thinking that these folks that lived originally in this house were picking up the newspaper and reading about these things that were going on in Whitechapel, and I'm wondering what their thoughts and their discussion was. The person who built the house was the village dentist, and so I'm just sort of wondering, what
you could
Dr. William Finder, I'm just kind of wondering what they were thinking about that as I sit here. They're probably discussing it in this very room.
Nicole, I'm going to put up that's the link on Amazon, or you just go into Amazon and look up Russell Edwards naming the Jack the Ripper. You will find it there. I did today, and I got it. So I will have it delivered tomorrow. So I'm so looking forward to it. My children don't care looking at me anymore, reading books on ghosts and Jack the Ripper. They're immune to it. God bless them. I mean, I throw them in at the deep end to, this is what mom is all about. I'm not a regular mother. We like other stuff. Have you more tours coming up, Russell?
Well, I did an impromptu tour. I only do private tours. I used to do it for the general public, but I was literally doing tours 7 nights a week to 150 people a night, and it was just getting too much. So I did that for 2 years, and I really did want to get the story out. But I found other ways to do that now, and that'll all be coming out next year as well. Tours, only private bookings, yet one-to-one with me. As I say, someone this morning said how much I gave what I charge for a tour, and he booked me, and I just did one before we did this.
And you know what? If you could give dates to me, I can get it up on the page, because I'd like to say it to Lou and Niall and anybody else that wants to come with me over, that we can book a tour with you.
Well, just book a date. If I'm not doing anything, I'll do the tour.
Oh, well then. Let me keep an eye on your inbox. Louise.
See you in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I tell you, I wouldn't get excited for flying over for that. Louise, who's on my team, she's in work at the moment. She's in work until 8 o'clock in the morning. She should be watching. She has me on her big TV screen. Everyone say, hi, Louise.
Hi, Louise.
And so we could organise a trip over to do a tour with you.
Yeah, if you want to, you could televise it. You could do an investigation, whatever you like,
Oh, come on.
Just had to say the magic words. Listen, there's Lulu. Let me talk to Lulu tonight. I hope she's still watching now. I know she's busy working tonight. But listen, okay. I have nothing in July. No, Louise, I think she's going away in July, but we'll work it out. My goodness. Yeah, let me leave that with me, and I'll get a date for you as well. One thing, Larry Murphy is number one suspect for collective murders around the missing triangle, working in the area when Annie McCarrick went missing. He worked in Deirdre's Jacob's granny's shop. Deirdre went missing in the 90s, working in Moon when Jojo Dillard went missing. And he's out now, isn't he, Nat? He's out now.
This is a case I don't know.
I
don't know this case at all.
Oh no,
Natalie
from Haunted Island. He's in Ireland, but I think he's out now, and there's pictures has been, posted around of where he is. Live investigation, Jen. We will. Well, let me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to. I'm ready to fly over and join you guys. But it's just such a enormous feat to do what you did, Russ. I just can't. I'm trying to wrap my brain around the fact that you've done this, and I 100% believe that this is true and accurate, and that you did figure out who the person was. I'm just extremely impressed. I mean, I think that there's this whole subset of us in the paranormal and other people that are kind of obsessed with some of these unsolved cases, and we look into them, we try to research them the best we can, and even ones that are really recent, we can't get a handle on them. And what you've done is just amazing. So I just want to say congratulations. This is intense. Yeah.
You're a man
well
with
done.
a bone, like a dog with a bone. Like you want to guess the answer for everything. But that's just, and it gives, oh my gosh, for the families as well, and for the ones who are interested in the history, but we wouldn't know where to start. Like you did all the work.
Well, as I say, I have a unique way of thinking. I'm a great lateral thinker, and I'll find how to overcome obstacles. And my experience is, when something's not working, sit down, let it rest, because something will happen.
Yes.
You know, and that's the way it's done.
There's another one there for you now. He's moved to England. He was released and he's moved to England.
Good luck. Good luck, England.
Larry Murphy has moved to England.
I don't know anything about that case. And I'm like, good luck, England.
Look him up now. I know he's notorious. He's just he's a desperate man. How he got out, I have no idea. I don't know. Anyhow, that's just okay. Eric,
So-
after this though, what's next?
Oh,
Thank you for the question. So, I'm in the middle of another case, which again backfired for a reason I can't disclose. But only one of the meetings I had with Dr. Yolo Halani the other day is we only ever had 3 major unsolved cases. I only want to do 3 in my career, unless somebody pays me. And we've just started on our 3rd, and it's very, very big. And I'm really looking forward to doing that.
We are looking forward to finding out what you're doing.
absolutely.
See where we get with it. We signed
keep a watch
contracts
on
2
you.
weeks ago. Yeah, we signed 2 contracts 2 weeks ago. What we'll be doing is when the new book comes out, then everybody knows exactly what's going on without. So when you look at reviews on me, when you look at what people say about me, just remember these are people that don't know the story, haven't done the research, haven't done the work, not put the legwork in over decades, and they've all got their own agenda. You know, it's normally tour companies who don't want the Ripper revealed, or the Ripper community who don't want the Ripper revealed because they've got nothing to talk about. So I've read they're just the spurious facts that they spew out, and I said this on my post the other day. Don't read a book and speculate who Jack the Ripper is. I was standing out to the Metropolitan Archives the other day. I said, go in there and do the research because the answers are in there.
Yeah, and you did it. Oh no!
Oh no! What? Oh no! What?
Comment, and you can probably read it, but I don't know if you want me to put it up. I'll put it up, but I don't know. It's just something that Russell can't talk about. I don't know. It's from Nat.
He's not going to be able to talk
what's
about.
This one? Is it the Lake Mitchell Jody Jones case? No. All I can say is I enjoy the journey. I enjoy solving something that nobody in history can solve. The next one is bigger than Jack the Ripper, and I'm not permitted to say anything about it.
I was going to say, pardon the pun, you're killing me. But
you're killing me. You're killing me too. Oh no. Uh-oh. Sounds like a pattern.
Well, if you promise to keep the secret, I'll inbox you, or I'll tell you after the show.
Oh, I'll sign an NDA. I don't
know. But when we come off live, stay there. Don't go. When we come off the live, stay there and don't go. Sorry, folks. So we are sealed.
Yeah. I have to. So your brain is very intriguing the way it works. And you said that you had a corporate life before this. You don't have to tell me what you did, but I kind of want to know what you did in a general way.
So basically, before all this, I had 3 care homes. I had 155 staff. I used to care for the elderly.
That's brilliant.
I studied to be a therapist while we was doing this journey to give me something to keep my brain busy because I'm very, very active mentally. I grew up doing the markets, selling teddy bears as a kid.
Okay.
I'm going to
That's what I used to do. Yeah, but by the time I was 19, I had 7 girls. I said, out workers, all sewing machinists working for me.
Wow.
I supplied all like fairgrounds and stuff. And then I just had this adventure through my 20s with the Ripper stuff. We set up a software distribution company in the 90s, and we became the 3rd largest distributor in the year in the UK.
Wow.
So it's not the fact that it's just like, this is the one thing that's always confused me as a younger man, is why do it's like I see the Matrix. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yes, I do.
I see things different. I see things differently. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You do.
You know, but I'm rubbish at crosswords and I'm rubbish at puzzles.
Sudoku. How are you at Sudoku?
I no chance. It's too hard for someone with my feeble brain.
I tell you, me and maths is like water and oil. Do not mix. We do not mix. Where can people find you if they want to book
on Facebook? The best one is Facebook. So Russell Stephen Edwards with a PH, Stephen with a PH. Russell Stephen Edwards on Facebook. I've got a dedicated Ripper page called the Jack the Ripper Experience on Facebook. All my details are on there. You can find me on the jackthерippertour.co.uk. Everything about me is in name in Jack the Ripper, so that's where you can find me.
I'll get all of these links put up on the Shadow Whispers in the Night page and my Emerald Isle Paranormal Researchers page as well. And so I can share those links into all the networks that we've been on tonight.
Sure. Just before we go, would you like an extra special finishing treat to round the night off?
We love treats.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to put you on. You're on hands free anyway.
Okay.
To the car. But I'm going to put you down on the seat where I'm going to drive only 2 minutes from this murder scene.
Okay.
And where I'm going to take you is exceptionally eerie at any time, day or night.
You bring us there.
Do you want to come with me to see it?
We are all
absolutely
in the car with you.
Let's go.
Like this,
okay.
The little creme de la creme of tonight.
Of course they're going.
Said, Jen, you know, is it visual? And I'm like, well, yeah, definitely on video. It goes because I'm at Whitechapel. And I'm like, no. And I didn't want to put it up for people to say that we are actually on the scene at Whitechapel tonight. So this was extra special. A little carry on the
I'm now driving down the road where the most logical road he went to get to the 4th murder scene, which is called Fairclough Street. A psychic lady recommended that it would be Boyd Street, which is the parallel one to Fairclough Street. But where we're going now is a significant date that we discussed earlier, which is the 11th of September, 1889. And Aaron Kosminski's birthday is the 11th of September. And this is only 5 minutes. It's like 30 seconds for us in the car. But where I'm going to take you is a very, very, very eerie, spooky place. And sometimes I don't know why I come here myself, but I don't know. I'm just drawn to it.
Drawn to it. You're drawn to it.
So, this whole thing, that's what I keep thinking in my mind. He's drawn to it. Like the victims come to him and they said, we need this to be resolved.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yes. And that's why he ends up being friends with, you know, the victims' families and the witnesses' families and all that trauma that he's helping to heal, really.
Okay, so
I know that's a little metaphysical for what we're talking about, but I just keep feeling that feeling of the victims thing finally.
You get the ladies' stories out so that they can put a closure to it.
Yeah.
Can you see this, ladies?
Yes.
What does it say?
Oh, you have to go closer to it?
You can't see that? Yeah, I can't see that.
I'm going to try.
I'll tell you what, let me see if I can keep you with me. Let me just turn the engine off.
Okay.
Okay, this is also counted as one of the Whitechapel murders.
His Bluetooth is going to have to let go. His Bluetooth will let go, and then we'll hear him again.
Bluetooth's still in the car, Russell.
Okay, here we go. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Finchon Street.
Your Bluetooth is in the car.
Or you could turn the Bluetooth off on your phone.
Okay. So Russell's going to log out and come back in again. Nat, let me tell you,
Thank you.
when we have Russell on tonight, and then Russell said, "Jen, are you visual on the show?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a video feed, it's live video." He said, "Great," because he's just finished a tour in Whitechapel, so he's going to do the interview from Whitechapel. Let me tell you, I didn't even say it to Robin because I wanted to excite her, but then I kind of lost it.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay.
So sorry.
Okay.
So here's one of the ladies that. So you're on a live stream.
Hi, gorgeous.
So here's a typical, I say, typical lady that lives in East End.
East Londoner.
Typical
Hi.
So there you go.
A typical.
Far away from the cold night with one.
Yay!
Thank you.
Yes.
So this. So I've got. Sorry, I haven't got anything. I don't carry cash, believe it or not. So here, look. Can you see the name of the street?
Pinchin Street.
Okay, if you go onto Google and type in the Pinchin Street Torso.
Let me get it.
Pinchin Street Torso. Here we go.
Yeah. So down there in one of those, see one of these arches here?
Yes.
On the 11th of September 1889, a woman's torso was found in one of them there.
Are you doing the Jack the
Okay.
Yeah.
Stripper?
Oh, wow.
Jackie the Clipper.
Yeah.
Bring the.
So, and again, the cobbles.
You got that? Oh my God, the original cobbles.
So I wonder if you can get that sort of
I'll
haunted view.
get that picture up now. 1 second.
Yeah.
I haven't got much charge left, guys. So
Okay.
back in the car.
Okay, yeah, jump back in that car. We are going to have a little private conversation afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to get this picture up of the Pinchin Street Torso if I can find it. You got yours better there, Robin.
Yeah, it's just a drawing of a man standing over a. That's all I could find. So. It popped right up.
And they had live a woman that's a prostitute in the East End.
Say that again.
That's a prostitute in the East End.
Yes. Couldn't you tell? I could tell right away. I don't know why I would know that, but I did.
There you go. Anyway,
she had some pizzazz. She was working that.
She did.
Yeah, East London. We love East London.
Okay, well, this is just on my phone, but I will hold it up.
Can you hear us? Oh, you're good.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good now. I can see that now, Robin.
Yeah, that's the one.
Railway Arch.
Yep, and there we are. The arches.
Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
They're not just phenomenal.
I feel so heavy. I just feel heavy.
Very like Robin, it's very like a heavy breath kind of thing.
Gravitas. Yeah.
It's sad. It's heavy breath. Your voice is gone again, Russell? Your voice is gone again?
He's having Bluetooth fun.
Your voice is gone.
There he is. Bluetooth good.
Hiya.
Yeah.
So what I was saying was, most people that come out with me are never bored.
No. Listen, I'm going to get a flight over without my Xanax and gin and tonic. We are.
And I bet there's a lot more than Jack the Ripper you can talk about.
Nat.
Absolutely, yes.
Nat, and I've got a few people hopefully that we can get a good tour together. Like Nat, we're going to make a date with Russell that we can go over and do a private tour with him and maybe a little investigation. So I'll talk to Russell privately and get a few dates together and see if we can get flights over to meet up with you. That would be great. Let me see what this. What did Russell think of the Patricia Cornwell that isn't what Edward Stickard?
Walter Stickard. Very interesting story. I admire her as an authoress. I really do, or an author. Not Edward Sickert, it was Walter Sickert. What we did is the team I worked with did the same stamp that she did, and it turned out that the DNA on there was female. There was 1 in 600,000 that it could have been, but what she is completely ignoring is the fact that Walter Sickert wasn't in this country at the time of the murders. He was in France. So if you're telling me that he come over, murdered them, and then went back on a train in France, then no. But a great story, a really great story. And what she did for me was she linked Walter Sickert to my hometown because he performed in the Floral Pavilion in New Brighton, which is where my auntie used to perform. And I live on, and that's in the Wirral where I come from.
We are going over. Listen, the stuff that you showed us tonight, I mean, you gave us a private tour.
Yeah.
That, like, you couldn't get, I mean, it was unexpected, and it was, wow.
Okay.
It was really mind-blowing. I'm blown away by it, and wow.
Thank you.
And I never stuck for words. Let me tell you, I never stuck for words. I'm always talking, but humbled that you gave us that tour. I mean, you see these locations and you know so much about it.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Okay. We're going to come off here now for a second. We are going to have a wee private talk in the background. Sorry, folks. We are like
can't stop us. You can't stop us. We're going to do that.
We're into secrecy. But I want to say thank you to everyone who watched, who commented, who liked, who shared. And we hope you enjoyed this fantastic surprise show tonight. It was not a surprise, it wasn't coming on, but a surprise for the tour he gave us. Robin, thank you so much for being a co-host with me tonight. As always, you're a bloody gem. Russell, I have no words.
Thank you.
No words. It was an honor. It was a surprise after probably a very tough week. It was nice to have this tonight. It was nice to have this tonight. It was nice. It put a smile on my face, which was lovely. And I don't mean just of the whole history of the personal tour as well, of the relocations and your knowledge and your work that you do. It's phenomenal. I am so looking forward. I'll be sitting at the door tomorrow with my dog. I'm waiting for the postman to come and getting stuck into that book. And that's why, we're going to have a little talk in the background. The March one. We'll just say that.
Sure.
Robin, anything you want to say to close off before we leave?
Just thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you, Russell, and of course, Jen. It's always great to be on your show. Thank you for inviting me, and I can't wait to come back again. I know we have an upcoming show together, so that's going to be exciting. Thank you. It's been a great day.
We do. Russell, yourself, anything to say before we come off the live?
Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me tonight.
Listen,
thank you.
The thanks is all ours. We want to say thank you so much.
We're going to be watching you.
We will be watching. I'm going to bring us in the background, put off the intro, and then stay there, folks. We'll be back in 2 seconds.